Thursday. Can you believe it? 3 weeks done. 6 different class sessions. This is Network Essentials. The students took the quiz, and we talked about, after they got done, we talked about the value in reflection. Looking back at their questions and deciding why they got a question wrong, and did they prepare or study enough, or how they're going through the curriculum. Does that make sense? It's really important. You know, you could worry about it just to get a grade, or you could say, I just want it done. So you quick take it because it doesn't affect your grade, so you don't care. Or you could really try to learn from the experience. And of course, this is what we want to do. Then, I'll go over this today. We covered the OSI model. We talked about protocols and how they fit in. And then they worked on their cables a little bit, those that had time. So, let me start here. Information Communications Technology. That's what we're trying to do in the whole academic IT program. Academic Information Technology. So, information comes from data, and we collect data all over the world, everywhere. So we take data and we create information. Data is like the raw facts. Information has value, okay? Has value in our lives. Even if it's just seeing a picture of your uncle on Facebook, it has some value. The data are all the ones and zeros, so to speak. And then software, working with hardware, converts data into information. Something has value to us. Then the key thing up here, how can we communicate that information all over the world? And so we can use technology to take the information and communicate it everywhere. Information, communications, technology. Okay, let's keep moving. We started talking about protocols, rules for communicating, rules for communications. So we start off with some easy ones. We started talking about the internet and how it developed. It's been around a long time. It was the ARPANET at first. The government was involved in the initial creation, and they started making all these connections across the country, actually the world, and they got universities involved, and pretty soon they got to the point where somebody invented hypertext transfer protocol. It's a protocol on how to send information between locations through something like the internet. And then they figured out a way to also encrypt that information to secure it. So I mentioned, you don't have to memorize any of them now, but these are the ports that these protocols use. And they work together with HTML, hypertext markup language, way to create some tags and so forth that, two things, they can be interpreted by a web server and they can be interpreted by a browser. Today, our emphasis was talking about how Ethernet works. Wi-Fi is not much different. And we'll do that. That'll be Tuesday. So you'll notice here, we have the destination. I'm going to show you the source in a minute. And then the information moves across some type of transmission medium. Let's take a look at the whole picture. To understand how traffic moves from one location, for example, to the internet, to some location on the internet. Okay. Let's just say this is Facebook. Okay. You know, you can be on a PC in here, a client, and you can access Facebook in our here, when we're talking about, they have some kind of a server or servers, and they can then send that information, that web page information, back to you. So we have a source, we have some transmission medium to send it through, and we have a destination. In order to do that, we have to use some type of protocol, which TCP/IP, I'll write it up here again, TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. Some people, their terminology might be a little different, but basically, it's how the Internet works. In order to understand that, we build a model. Okay. This isn't exactly how it works, but it's a way to understand, or at least have a picture or a visual. We can visualize how it works. Here's how it goes. Somewhere then in the computer, we're going to access a website. We have an application, and we use a browser. That's not part of the OSI model. The OSI model starts here. The application connects to the application later, and then we have data. We present the data. Here's where we can do encryption if we wanted to, like HTTPS. Okay. Then we create a session. If we're transmitting where everything needs to get there, which we'll talk about in a second, we set up a session and we start sequencing these chunks of information that we're transmitting to the other side. Remember, we got a source, destination, and we're connected in between. The transport layer now is how we're going to transport the data. Two major ways to look at it is TCP, in which we're going to make sure all of the data gets there. Okay, and the other one is UDP. We just send it and hope it gets there. This would be like for streaming, this would be like for websites, and a whole array of things. Next thing we do, we put an IP address on it. The network layer figures out the best path through the network. Data link, we put on a MAC address. Physical, the bits are putting on some kind of medium. Now Ethernet, they're going to be on a wire. Some networking terms. Transport layer splits it into segments. The segments are made a packet when we add the IP address, and the packet is turned into a frame when we add the MAC address when talking about Ethernet. A couple more slides. So how this would work, let's take a look. So you have your browser makes a request to a website. So my browser in here makes a request to the website. So that information moves down through here until it gets all the way down here and has that MAC address. The MAC address gets it up to a certain place in the network, which looks at the IP address, realizes it's not here, so it sends it out into the internet. In that movement out, it gets translated to what we call a public address for in the internet. It goes through the internet through routers, and it comes out here at the web server. So when it gets to the web server, it's the same scenario over here, except the other direction. It comes in as physical wires, then it comes in, and here, then it accesses the web server, the destination. Then it gathers this all up and it sends it back. For now, that's all you need to know. So it sends it back through the internet and it comes back here, and we get our web page with our HTML, and our browser interprets it for us. All right. I showed a little example. This was a ping. Let me see, this might be more clear. This was a ping. This was the information in the ping. And here are, this is the transport layer, Internet Protocol, the source, and where it's going. This was actually coming back. My alarm just went off. I'm over 10 minutes. This is where, this was the computer that sent it. It's coming back to my PC. It was, this is the protocol, ICMP. It gives the source and destination addresses up here. It's an echo, it's a ping. This is the reply. And here is the Ethernet information coming from the frame. So yeah, here again would be the big picture of here, and that same process occurs, and then coming back. Chapter 3 of the curriculum. That's it.